Have you ever listened to a trailer or a podcast or a song or any piece of audio content and thought to yourself, wow, that is damn near perfect? You are about to in the form of this short audio teaser, aka trailer, for the show 20,000 Hertz. Of course, this is just one person's opinion, but I do hope you agree. I'm going to hit play on it, and then I will come back, introduce myself, introduce this show, what the hell we're doing here today, and then we'll talk a little bit about why I love this trailer so much. Here we go.
I'm Dallas Taylor, host of 20,000 Hertz, a lovingly crafted podcast about the world's most recognizable and interesting sounds. From music and video games to science and history, the world of sound is full of great stories.
The TIE Fighter was made with two main elements, the first being the sound of a car passing by a microphone on wet pavement. And then layered on top of that are these elephant growls, these horrible elephant growls.
You can choose between snares. You can start chopping up the on-band break and rearranging the individual beats into other configurations. Pretty soon, you start getting into some really interesting patterns and textures.
Whenever I'm doing recordings, the way I get to it is I say, hey, here's Tom right there. There's Tom doing his thing, and he's loud and he's projected.
20,000 Hertz is crafted by a passionate team of professional sound designers, and that means that our episodes will always sound incredible and be jam-packed with ear candy.
It turns out what you need to do to make a ear is basically have a cavity, and then you need to stretch a membrane over that cavity.
When a sound wave hits that membrane, it causes it to vibrate. So the last thing you need is a neuron to perceive that vibration.
And this barely scratches the surface. We've also revealed the hidden stories behind the most iconic sounds to ever be created.
Great.
20,000 Hertz is totally clean, so you can listen with anyone, including little ears. It's also intentionally surprising. One episode may be hilarious, while the next one is absolutely heartbreaking. Above all, it'll help you unlock your sense of hearing. To get in touch with your sonic world, follow 20,000 Hertz in your favorite podcast player. If you're already a listener, send this trailer to someone you know will love the show. If you're new here, I can't wait for you to listen.
Welcome to Trailer Park, the podcast trailer podcast. My name's Arielle Nissenblatt. Usually I co-host this show with Tim Villegas. Tim is not here today, so you've just got me. You just heard the trailer for 20,000 Hertz, voiced by Dallas Taylor. Real trailer heads will know that a few weeks ago we also featured this trailer when we did our 90.9 The Park episode, our Trailer Park Power Hour, but we wanted to shine a little bit more of a spotlight on it here today. That was 2.5 minutes of pure entertainment, sound effects, music, nostalgic tunes. I am endlessly entertained by that trailer, and every time I re-listen to it, I find something new to focus on. I hope you enjoyed it. On Trailer Park, the podcast trailer podcast, we bring you trailers, and then we break down those trailers. What did we like about them? What didn't we like about them? What was entertaining? Where did they lose us a little bit? And most importantly, how do these trailers serve the larger shows that they are a part of? Ultimately, trailers are all about teasing the audience into listening to the rest of the season, the rest of the show, the rest of the series, whatever it is. So how do the trailers that are created actually match up to the podcast that they are partnered with? We will discuss all of that and more as it relates to the trailer for 20,000 Hertz in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsors. We are sponsored this season by FanList. If you go to fanlist.com/trailerpark, you will see our FanList page. There, you can record a voice note for us. You can leave us a tip. You can even chat with us in the chat room. It is the ultimate fan experience for podcast listeners and lovers. You can create your own fan page if you have a podcast of your own. Just go to fanlist.com. It is free to use FanList. They will just take a percentage of any tips that you receive. So it's super easy to set up. If you want to see our FanList page in action, again, that's fanlist.com/trailerpark. We are also supported this season by OSHA. They are our hosting provider. OSHA makes it super easy to set up our show and to publish it every week. And they've got some really cool built-in marketing tools, such as automatic publishing to YouTube and the ability to send a newsletter right from within their platform. They also just released a new feature called Podcast Search Optimization. Learn more about OSHA and consider switching to OSHA for your podcast hosting needs by going to osha.co. That's AUSHA.co. We are back. Let's talk about the trailer for 20,000 Hertz. First, let's talk about 20,000 Hertz in general. Here is the description of the show, just in case you're not familiar. It's a lovingly crafted podcast that reveals the stories behind the world's most recognizable and interesting sounds. But to give you, listener, a little bit more information about the show, I'm actually going to read from the Wikipedia page, which exists, which is pretty cool. 20,000 Hertz is a podcast about the world's most recognizable and interesting sounds. The show's title refers to the highest frequency that can be perceived within the human hearing range without hearing loss. It grew out of Dallas Taylor's admiration for the podcast 99% Invisible and his desire to hear more stories like the ones they produced about audio design. Now back to just me. No more Wikipedia. The show has been in existence since 2016. There are a lot of episodes for you to really get a taste of the world of sound. Get a taste, get an earful, whatever it is. And it's a really wide-ranging show. If you think it's all about sound design, it actually expands much beyond that. For example, recent episodes have titles such as Oral Obscura, all about that bass, Into the Huluverse, Sounds That Sell, so that's, of course, advertising, Subtitles On, which was one of my favorite episodes, produced by a friend, Ashley Hamer, about why we tend to like watching TV with the subtitles on. It is really a unique show, and there is nothing quite like it in the podcast world. What do I really like about this trailer, though? First of all, Dallas sent it to me. He emailed it to me because he knows that I love trailers so much. And what he told me in the email is that for every season that 20,000 Hertz puts out, they put out a new trailer, which I think is genius. And I recommend that creators do that all the time, especially if the content from one season to another is going to change even a little bit. It's a good opportunity for you to create a marketing moment and to say, check out this new trailer, and to send around that new trailer, and to really just give folks a glimpse, a taste of what the sonic experience of this next set of episodes is going to sound like. And then when I listened to the trailer, I just thought it was such a great encapsulation of what the show is about and can be about. It had a lot going on, but I thought it was really well organized. I think it struck the balance really well between telling me exactly what's going to happen in each episode of the season, but teasing it in a way that made me want to listen to hear the sounds that were queued up for me. This is now the point in the show, in the asynchronous version of the show, where I would hand it off to my co-host, Tim, and he would share a voice clip with some thoughts, what he thinks about the trailer that we played. Tim is out this week. He is on spring break with his kids. So I asked a friend to step in with her analysis. You're about to hear from Devin Andrade of Tink Media. She is a big-time podcast listener and huge fan of the medium, and she has a newsletter called Podstack. You can get it at podstack.substack.com. I am going to hit play on her voice clip now.
Hey, trailer heads, or trailer parkers. I'm not sure which nickname I like better, so I'm using both. Thanks so much for letting me pop into the show to talk about a trailer for a podcast that also happens to be one of my favorites. That being said, I still listened with a critical ear. I promise. What I was wondering about going into this trailer, having listened to so many episodes of the show, was just how they were going to capture the niche nature of the show. They cover so many different topics, and I was worried it was going to be difficult to capture all of that in the small amount of time that you have for a trailer. And I think the way they delivered that so well is by mixing really crafty, clever language in their script that is smart and speaks so well to the show, but they didn't even have to say that much in between the clips they used. And I like the way they build up the clips at the beginning. You can tell there's good sound design, and you're going to hear a lot of fun sounds throughout the show. And you get hints to what some of the niche topics are. Then Dallas comes back in and gives you a little bit more about the team and the show. And then they have this build-up that comes, I think, with the music and with the type of clips that helps you get a sense of just how niche and diverse the topics are. Like, it's not just about the sounds, it's about the people and the world and the impact. And like Dallas says, there's going to be a range of emotions. And I think the variety of clips they chose for that is what conveys that the best. And I also really think they ended on such a smart tagline that makes the show easily recommendable by saying things like unlock your sense of hearing or get in touch with your sonic world. Through the trailer, they are giving listeners the language to tell other people about it. And I think they're spotlighting the right clips to capture it. So it's just a good balance of everything the show does best. And somehow it doesn't ever feel like it's dragging or it's moving too fast, which can be really difficult to do when you're trying to cram in clips and script. But I think they chose the right words and the right clips to highlight it.
Thank you to Devin for taking the time to send in that voice clip. We always love hearing from other folks who love a good podcast trailer. So listeners, you may have noticed that Tim and I have been asynchronous for the past few episodes. We do eventually intend on coming back together, but we do want to make sure that we are putting out episodes for you as much as possible, and sometimes the easiest way to do that is to record asynchronously. Let us know what you think of this format, and if you have any requests for us. We are still taking submissions for trailers. If you go to trailerparkpodcast.crd.co, we have a submission form. You may have also noticed that we're not doing as much analysis. We're kind of just putting out the trailers and giving you something to potentially enjoy and then go and subscribe to and become a loyal fan/listener of. We think that there is merit to both. Again, we are very open to feedback on this show. It's a podcast about podcasts, so it's very important to us that we are constantly critiquing ourselves. Thank you again to Dallas Taylor for submitting the trailer for the latest season of 20,000 Hertz to us. We really appreciate you sharing this with us. And listeners, if you enjoyed the trailer and you are not yet a listener and fan of 20,000 Hertz, go and search for it in your favorite podcast listening app, and you'll have a lot of episodes to enjoy. This show is written and produced by me, Arielle Nissenblatt, and Tim Villegas, my co-host. It is edited by us as well. We record on Squadcast and we edit in Descript. Our music is from Melody, that's melod.ie. Our logo is from Kayo Slikta. We'll be back soon with a new episode of Trailer Park, the podcast trailer podcast. Until then, happy trails.